Hi guys, welcome back to Spelling and Word Study. My name is Mrs. Rhoades and I'm here to get you started on Unit 16, Long E with EA. Please take a second to gather your materials. You will need your teal book open to page 16. You will also need some colorful pens, markers, or crayons. Remember, whatever I mark on my board, you should be marking on your page. Please save room for a key as well. All right, so for the last couple weeks, we have been talking about vowel teams. Remember, when we put two vowels together, they often create a long vowel sound. So last week, we learned how to make a long A sound by putting A and Y together in words like play and stay and gray. Before that, we used the vowel team AI to make the A sound in words like wait or pain. This week, we're going to talk about long E. One of the most common vowel teams that work together to make the E sound is EA. So as I read this list to you, I want you to notice the EA in each word, and I want you to listen for that long E sound. Here we go. Cheap, clean, clear, dream, feast, need, scream, speak, stream, wreath. Did you hear that long E sound in each word? Great. All right, choose a color. And now let's find the EA in cheap and draw a box around it. Remember, we have two letters working together to make one sound. We see that again in clean and clear, dream and feast. Notice the E always comes before the A. Need and scream, speak and stream and wreath. Okay, in our key, red box equals EA, and that is going to make a long E sound. Okay, now if you think back a few weeks, we learned about a different kind of team. We learned about silent letter teams. So those are two letters that hang out together, but only one of them talks. One of the silent letter teams we talked about was KN. We know that KN shows up in the beginning of lots of words like no, or knife, or knob, and each time the K is silent, but the N does the talking. So now we see it in the word need. We also see a silent letter pair in the word wreath. This is another very common team that we see at the beginning of a word in words like write or wrap. The W is silent, the R is spoken. So over here, blue box equals silent letter team. And the teams are KN and WR. Okay. I also want you to notice that we have a homophone on our list. Remember, homophones are two words, or sometimes three words, that sound the same but are spelled differently and have different meanings. So if you look at the word need, that has two different spellings. Probably the first kind of need that you learned was this one, like I need a nap, I need a snack, right? I need a friend. So that is a verb, an action word that means there's something that I'm missing, right? Something that I have to have. This kind of need is also a verb, but it's what you do with dough. So if you're going to make homemade pizza or you're going to make a homemade loaf of bread, once you mix the flour and the water and the salt and all the ingredients together, you have to knead the dough. So you're kind of pinching and pulling it over and over again, okay? So knead and knead. Two words that sound the same but have totally different meanings. So we call that a homophone, which means same sound. Okay, I don't see any other homophones on our list this week. All right, we've also been focusing on parts of speech. We know that some words are nouns, some words are verbs, some words are adjectives, and some words might be more than one. So I want you to choose a color, and the first thing I want you to do is start looking for verbs. So remember, verbs are action words, things that we can do, or animals can do, or the weather can do, or cars can do. So nobody can cheap, but they can clean. You can clean your room, you can clean out your desk. We can also clear things, right? After it snows, you might have to clear the driveway. You might have to clear your schedule. We can all dream. That's a verb. We can even feast. If we eat a big meal, think about like Thanksgiving, we feast on turkey and mashed potatoes and yummy desserts. I already explained that kneading is something we do with our hands, so that's a verb. We can definitely scream, right? We can speak. Stream, when I was a kid, there was only one kind of stream, and that was like a small river. But now, this is something we can do with our TVs, our computers, and our tablets, right? We can stream videos, we can stream shows. So that is a verb, but we can't wreath. So over here, V equals verb, and verbs are action words, things we do. All right, now let's look for some nouns. Remember, nouns can be people, places, things. If you can touch it, if you can draw it, it is definitely a noun. So, a dream can be a noun, right? When you dream, you have a dream. Now I know you can't, this is more of an abstract noun because you can't touch it, but it's still a thing. You can have a dream. You can have a feast, right? All of that food spread out in front of you is a feast. You can even have a scream, right? Like that scream was so loud, right? So that can be a noun. And then I mentioned that a stream, like a tiny river, flowing water, that is also a noun. And then a wreath, well, there are lots of different kinds of wreaths. One of the most common ones would be a Christmas wreath, right? Where you take all the greenery, like pine needles maybe, and then maybe you put a big bow on the bottom. Maybe you put some holly berries. So that's one kind of wreath, right? It's a nice door decoration. You can have other kinds of wreaths. I've seen wreaths for fall made out of like red and orange leaves. I've seen spring wreaths made with flowers. So you can make a wreath out of anything. But that is definitely a thing. So we're going to put an N next to that for noun. And then the last type of word that I want to talk about today is an adjective. An adjective is a describing word. So instead of just calling this a wreath, I could call it a green wreath, a Christmas wreath, a pretty wreath, a big wreath. All of those would be adjectives. Cheap is an adjective. It describes a person, right? If a person doesn't like to spend their money, maybe they're cheap. It describes a product. If you want to buy something at the store, you want to check to see if it's expensive or cheap. So cheap is a describing word. Clean is also an adjective, right? I know that we can clean, but once we do that, then our room is clean. Now we're describing it. Clear, same thing. Once you clear the driveway is clear. There's no more snow on it. Once you clear your calendar is clear. There's no more obligations on it. Okay, so we can describe something by saying it's cheap, it's clean, it's clear. None of these other words make sense there though. So A, D, J equals adjective. And an adjective is a describing word. Now I want to go back to our nouns for a second, because when you get to page 105, you are going to practice changing singular nouns to plural nouns. Remember, plural means more than one. So if I look at my nouns here, I could change dream to dreams, like I have lots of dreams, by adding S. I can change feast to feasts. We have lots of feasts at my house, by adding S. I can change wreath to wreaths, like I hung up 3 wreaths, by adding an S. So that's the most common way to make a plural, but sometimes just an S doesn't sound right. So for instance, if I had the word beach, I wouldn't say that I went to lots of beaches this summer. That would sound weird, right? I would have to say beaches, okay? I wouldn't say that my dog has 2 leashes. That would sound weird. I'd have to say leash is. So on the top of this page, all of the words are going to end with a ch or a sh sound, so you'll want to add es instead of just s. When you get to the bottom, you'll have a bunch of irregular plural nouns. So these don't follow the rules at all. So for instance, you have 1 foot, 2 feet, 1 tooth, many teeth. Okay, these are all common plurals that you know, and the plural form will end with a long E sound, or it'll have a long E sound in there, okay? So, I think we're good. We talked about our vocab, so good luck, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.